What a speech. I have the following remarks. Mr. President, on fuel subsidy removal, I urge you to stop claiming that you removed fuel subsidy. No, you did not remove fuel subsidy. You simply increased the price of petrol. You increased the pump price of refined petrol products in line with the requests of the World Bank and IMF. An action that you knew will make life unbearable for Nigerians, but you did it anyway. Fuel subsidy is a fraud, which you have failed to sincerely deal with. Do you know that there is a better way to fight the fuel subsidy fraud? Can you go after the fuel subsidy thieves that stole Nigeria's money in the name of fuel subsidy in the DSDP program of the NNPC? Can you go after those who stole $20 billion of Nigeria's money for turnaround maintenance on Kaduna, Warri, and Port Harcourt refineries that were never turned around? Do you know that the NNPC never paid a dime for fuel imports? Do you know that no oil marketer was paid fuel subsidy? Do you know that the oil marketers have publicly denied receiving fuel subsidy payments in an investigation conducted by the House of Representatives Committee? Do you know that NNPC told Nigerians through the group CEO that NNPC did not receive fuel subsidy payment from Buhari's administration? Yet, the Buhari administration claimed that they spent over 12 trillion naira on fuel subsidy payment between 2020 and 2023? Do you know that if our refineries are working, there would have been no need for fuel subsidy? Do you know that even in the US subsidizes their oil companies?
Our economy is going through a tough patch and you are being hurt by it, I know. The cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there is not. If there were, I would have taken that route as I came here to help, not to hurt the people and the nation that I love so dearly.
Mr. President, there are other ways. Go after the fuel subsidy thieves, recover Nigeria's money and prosecute them. With the recovered money, fix Kaduna, Warri, and Port Harcourt refineries. This will not only create jobs for Nigerians, but will ensure that Nigerians get cheap fuel to stimulate the economy and economic growth. Strengthen the Naira and go after the round trippers. This is a better way. Activate Ajaokuta and Alaja Steel for rapid and aggressive industrialization of Nigeria. This is a better way than dancing to the dictates of the IMF and the World Bank.
Already, the federal government is working closely with states and local governments to implement interventions that will cushion the pains of our people across socio-economic brackets.
Mr. President, you cannot reduce the sufferings of Nigeria or Nigerians with tokenisms. All the investment you are making only benefits the tiny group of elites in the US-led West. Think about it. Where will all the money go eventually or ultimately? Who are the companies that will implement your tokenisms? Where will all the buses come from? And the monies paid for the buses, where will they go? Where will all the fertilizers and farming equipment come from? And where will the money invested in those fertilizers and farming equipment, where will the money go? They will go to the big US-led or China-led IMF and World Bank backed corporations. This is what the West wants. This is what the IMF and the World Bank wants. Stop giving in to their dictates.
Earlier this month, I signed 4 executive orders in keeping with my electoral promise to address unfriendly fiscal policies and multiple taxes that are stifling the business environment. These executive orders on suspension and deferred commencement of some taxes will provide the necessary buffers and headroom to businesses in manufacturing sector to continue to thrive and expand, to strengthen the manufacturing sector, increase its capacity to expand and create good paying jobs.
The executive orders are hurting Nigerians, and they are hurting Nigerian businesses. The removal of tariff on imported used cars and the opening of the border for imported used cars should have been replaced with assisting local car manufacturers to produce more cars locally and encouraging public parastatals and government officials and even taxis and ordinary Nigerians to use locally made cars. This is what will create quality jobs. Activate Ajaokuta Steel, activate Alaja Steel to move Nigeria towards rapid industrialization, not just building factories that still depend on foreign corporations for spares and maintenance, particularly in strategic economic sectors. Use the $155 million World Bank loan for electricity to support local manufacturers of electricity meters rather than supporting or encouraging the US or China-led corporations to supply these electricity meters that can be produced locally.
We are going to spend $75 billion between July 2023 and March 2024. Our objective is to fund minimum of 75 enterprises with great potential to kickstart a sustainable economic growth, accelerated structural transformation, and improved productivity. Each of these 75 manufacturing enterprises will be able to access 1 billion credit at maximum of 9% per annum, with maximum of 60 months repayment for long-term loans and 12 months for working capital.
Yes, 75 billion for 75 big corporations, 125 billion for MSMEs, 50,000 naira each to 1,300 nano enterprises in 774 local government areas across Nigeria, 100,000 MSME startups to get 75 billion naira at 500k each, 200 billion naira for rice, maize, wheat, and cassava production, infrastructure funds for federal, state, and local government, 100 billion naira for CNG buses, and minimum wage. All of these expenditures, they go to feed into the desires and the requirements of the IMF and World Bank. Because if you follow these monies that you want to spend, they ultimately end up in the hands of IMF and World Bank backed corporations, either in the US-led West or China. So what Nigeria needs is local, aggressive industrialization, and that is best served by looking at activating Ajaokuta and Alaja Steel and stimulating local manufacturing, not just setting up factories that will still depend on foreign corporations for spare parts and maintenance. That way our naira continues to be weak and the most or highest quality jobs continues to be shipped abroad to such Asian or Western corporations. The only way to create jobs and truly make lives better for Nigerians is to aggressively industrialize Nigeria by activating Ajaokuta and Alaja Steel, activating local startup hubs, technological startup hubs, to develop and home grow our own technological solutions, to reduce our dependence on outside goods, to actually help us to be to move Nigeria towards self-sustainability in food and in technology and in production. This is the way to create quality jobs for Nigerians. Not spending this money that will ultimately end up in the hands of foreign corporations and ship the quality jobs to them and leave Nigerians spending more where they are actually earning far, far less. This is what Nigerians and Nigeria needs. Mr. President, your plans will not get better because you are moving in a wrong direction. You are simply dancing to the tunes of the IMF and the World Bank. You did not save 1 trillion naira from removing fuel subsidy. No, you did not. You simply forcefully collected that money from poor Nigerians who were made to pay more for more expensive fuel by your policies. The student loan is a scam that does not favor the students or the poor families. It is a ploy to increase school fees without adequate access to loans for most financially challenged Nigerian families. Besides, the higher education in Nigeria will continue to be useless unless Nigeria rapidly industrializes with the activation of Ajaokuta and Alaja Steel, with the activation of fixing off our local refineries, with the industrialization of Nigeria through building the capacity to manufacture goods locally without excessive dependence on foreign corporations for spares and maintenance. This is the way to go.